Welcome everyone, I'm Sam Lazarus, Creative Director for Rokoko, and welcome to this webinar, Mastering Unreal Engine 5.6 Metahuman Animator with the Rokoko Headcam. So we're going to be taking a look at some new facial motion capture workflows today. So what are we going to be talking about here today? So we're going to jump in with a quick overview of the Rokoko ecosystem. You know, some people know who we are, some people don't here. I want us all to be on the same page in terms of what we make and, you know, a little bit about our tools. Then we'll jump right into a live demo. So you'll notice I'm not in a suit right now. I like to start out of the suit so you see the entire process of getting into the mocap suit, recording mocap, and then we are going to put on our Rokoko Headcam and go through the workflow for using the new Unreal Engine 5.6 Metahuman Animator monocular video ingest, which basically just means that Metahuman Animator can now take 2D video from any source, including the Rokoko Headcam, and you can get fantastic facial motion capture. So that's going to be the kind of the core of what we're talking about today. So we'll run through how to record mocap for that process. Then we'll bring in our recording to Unreal Engine. We will go through the entire workflow in Unreal Engine. You'll see it's really straightforward and easy. It's a really incredible workflow, and you get really great results in terms of facial motion capture out of it. We're also going to be doing raffles. We're giving away 2 headcams over the course of the webinar, so stay tuned for that. And as I've mentioned, down in the bottom of your Zoom UI, there should be a Q&A button of some sort. If you have a question, I can't really look at the chat. We have some people in the chat, but if you have a question, put it in the Q&A, and a product specialist will either answer it live or it will be flagged for the Q&A at the end of the webinar. So with that being said, everything looks good in my control center. Let's go through a brief introduction of who we are. So, you know, we are Rokoko. We make motion capture hardware and software, and kind of our guiding light, you know, tenets are we want things to be accessible, easy to use, affordable, and also high quality, right? So those 3 things, that's what we focus on. The flagship product is our Smart Suit Pro 2, which you can see right here. It's an inertial motion capture suit. That means it works over Wi-Fi. There's no cameras. It's sensors that are in the suit. They talk to your computer and you get motion capture. Alongside those, we have the smart gloves. So these are amazing, also super affordable and high quality. They work natively with the Smart Suit Pro 2 or the Smart Suit, but they're also suit agnostic. So you can use smart gloves with volume systems or with other motion capture inertial systems. They're just an affordable, very high quality hand and finger motion capture system. In terms of facial motion capture, we have an iOS solution that works off of an iPhone. However, and we have a head rig that holds an iPhone. That's a great product as well. It's just a rig that holds your iPhone. It works natively with Rokoko Studio. You can record facial motion capture. But then finally, we also have a head cam. So the head rig just holds an iPhone or a phone. The head cam, what we're going to be using today, has an integrated camera built into it. So that records high definition 2D flat video, and that works perfectly for Metahuman Animator and the new updates that they have there. So that's facial motion capture. We also have the Coil Pro, which is kind of a high-end motion capture system. It's actually a completely new form of mocap. It runs off of EMF, so it creates an electromagnetic field, a bubble, within which it can track things in absolute position. So it's great for, you know, things where you need very specific motion capture, especially for hand placement. You can find out more about the Coil Pro on our website. And then, so that's all hardware. In terms of software, we have Rokoko Studio, which is our software. You can actually download it for free right now from Rokoko.com. It has sample scenes. It's where we aggregate all this hardware together, right? So it's our software that brings everything together. And we also have a AI solution as well, vision.rokoko.com, also free. So anyone can go there right now, upload a 2D video, or we have a paid plan with a depth 2-camera system for AI motion capture. So that's pretty much all of what we make. The last thing that I'll mention is we just released a new tool called Rokoko Studio Preview, which is a look at kind of the future of where we're going. In the short term, though, what it does is it provides new enhancing motion capture tools. So we have a new smoothing filter that you can get in Rokoko Studio Preview, and we have looping features. So it's really easy to create walk cycles and things like that. So, oh, and I gotta make sure that my loop is actually, look at that. It wasn't looping. Gotta keep looping. Yeah, so that's another great offering on the software side that just makes Rokoko mocap better. So, okay, with all that being said, let's jump in and actually throw on a suit. So, I'll jump back and somebody can start a timer. But yeah, as I said, I like to start this process completely from scratch to show you what the entire workflow is like. And usually this doesn't take me more than a minute to kind of get all up and running, but we'll see what the live mocap webinar gods have in store for us. Okay, so Smart Suit Pro 2, let's throw this thing on. Start with just my legs, and I like to wear just kind of athleisure. I've just got some shorts on, but you can wear like yoga pants, or you can wear it over your clothes. But yeah, I find athleisure, is just kind of the most comfortable thing. Yeah. Arms in, and you can see that, throwing on the suit is very quick and easy. And the reason I like to point this out is because I don't have to deal with setting up a bunch of cameras. I don't have to deal with, making sure that I have a ton of batteries charged for a bunch of different components. Everything is contained in my suit. It's all set up already on my Wi-Fi network. And there we go. I'm in my suit. So we're going to throw on the gloves too. Just roll up my sleeves, pop on my gloves here. Gloves connect natively into my suit. So everything is powered by a single battery that I'll plug in a second, and then just tucks into my little pocket right there. Yeah, the suits come in a bunch of different sizes as well. So you can use the same guts or the same, sensors in the suit. You can pull them out. They actually come out of the suits, and you can either wash the suit or you can put them in another different sized suit. So it's nice to be very versatile in terms of the, being able to pull the sensors out of the suit. Because especially if you're sharing the suit with a bunch of students, maybe if you're at a school or if you're in a small studio, you might have a sweaty mocap session, and you might want to wash the suit. So, okay, I plugged in my battery right there. I need to put on my head sensor here, unleash my crazy hair. But again, I wasn't timing, but that whole process of not being in a suit at all and then hopping into a suit and now being ready almost to record motion capture, you can see that it looks a little bit funny because we have a single calibration pose here called a straight pose. And that's it. And we're in. We're up and running. We're ready to start recording, unlimited motion capture. And again, I think, I say unlimited because you can record as much mocap as you want. There's, we're an inertial motion capture suit, as I said before. So I have sensors throughout my suit. That's great for a lot of different things, but AI is great for other things as well. If you've used Move or something. One of the limitations of using AI for mocap, though, is processing time. So you need to send everything up to the server. It's not real time usually. So you can't see the feedback as you go. And then also you're usually capped in terms of the amount of mocap you can make a month. You can pay for more, but it's just nice to be able to hop into a suit, know it's going to work, be able to record whatever I need to record, not have to have my eye on a timer, because I'm going to run out of credits or minutes, and just be ready to go. So, to go through what's happening here a little bit, and we have so many tutorials on YouTube that walk through this process. If you're curious about it, or book a free demo, and someone will walk it, through all of this with you specifically. But I have my mocap suit paired with an actor profile. This actor profile has my height. It has a couple measurements. that makes the mocap more accurate. So I can have multiple actor profiles. Again, if I'm working in a small studio or something, then all of them will be automatically, ready to go for all the different people using the mocap tools. I can also import simple characters, not every character, but Mixamo characters, Unreal Engine characters, character creator characters all work. And I can pair my character with my mocap, again, all in real time. Just, download the character from Mixamo, pull it into Rokoko Studio, all works very easily and seamlessly. And I can even go in and do a little adjusting. If I want to adjust my arms, boop, 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 or something, I've got a weird character proportions relative to my proportions. I need to do some fixes. I can do all that in here. So that is really cool. Now, how do we actually record mocap? So you'll see down here, I've got a little recording button. So let's go ahead and actually get my chair out of here. Record a few things. I've got a countdown. And then sit down. And you'll see we just get some funny behavior right there. And so let's take a look at that clip and we can kind of talk about what's happening on the back end to understand a little bit about how Rokoko mocap works. And then we're going to throw on this head cam and we are going to record some mocap for Unreal Engine. Okay. I'm also going to close a poll, juggle, 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 launch a new poll. Okay, so we just recorded that clip. Let's open up the recording and take a look at what actually happened here. So you can see that down here, we have this timeline with all these little bars, and these bars represent foot contact with the ground. So the way that Rokoko, again, each of the sensors in this suit, it just knows how it's rotating. It's like the accelerometer in your phone, but it doesn't know where it is in space. So if it doesn't know where it is in space, how does my character know where it is, how it's moving around? When I'm doing these little jumps, I'm translating in space. How does it know that? It does that calculation via foot contacts with the ground. So as long as we know how your feet are connecting with the ground, or more importantly, where the weight of your body is, so on each foot, where your weight is shifted, we can calculate all your translation in space. So what that means though is that there is a brief cleanup process that usually, this clip looks perfect from the get-go, so it's a bad example. But let's say you can see these little running bits right here. What if these recorded improperly? So I'm just gonna fake that we had a bad recording. Play this back. And you can see right there that my foot was just stuck, right? Because it thinks that it was on the ground. So I need to go and fix that little keyframe and make sure that Rokoko Studio knows that, hey, when this bar is not active, there's no bar, my foot is off the ground. And as soon as we make that change, you can see that we have this really great dynamic, right, moving motion capture. And that's pretty much the entire process. Now, when it comes to sitting, you can see at the end here when I did this, because Rokoko Studio relies on foot contacts with the ground, if your feet are off the ground, you can get some weird, especially for prolonged periods of time, you can get some weird results. If you do like a backflip, it will be able to understand that. But if you're hanging on some monkey bars, it will flip out. There's an easy fix to this though. We can either turn on treadmill mode. Well, that doesn't really fix it, but what we can do is turn off locomotion mode. So now you can see we basically just we've turned off that system, and now we get this accurate mocap data for as long as we're sitting at least. So really easy to do some cleanup and actually do some recording. But let's jump back out now, still here, and let's go through the workflow for Metahuman Animator itself, which is what we're here to talk about. And maybe what we'll do before we get into it is just to get somebody hyped up, we will do a quick little raffle. Let's give away a head cam before we keep going. You guys have all bared with me so far. Yeah, so, you know, the workflow we're about to go through is using the head cam to record video to use in Metahuman Animator. It's a great system, and the lucky winner of the first head cam is going to be Chris P. So Chris P, I think Crispy VFX or something. Congratulations! Yay! You're getting a brand new head cam. We will be in touch to make sure that we can get it to you. And then you can open up the video that we're about to make and you know, make some cool stuff yourself. Okay, so we are going to record for Metahuman Animator. And so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to put on my head cam here. So I will take off my beanie. I'm going to take off my head sensor and take off my headband because we're going to stick. You can see that my head is going all weird once I do that. But once we put on the head cam here, and there's a nice dial. Let me talk about the head cam actually before we get into this a little bit more. So yeah, the head cam is a, let me just do that nice and dirty. But the head cam is a basically just a camera mounted on you know, a nice slick looking like base unit. This is just a high definition camera. There's also lights here that can help illuminate your face. And all this does is record HD video. It has a USB-C cable out, so it goes into an Android. This workflow only works with Android right now because iPhones don't allow incoming USB-C like video connections. It's an iPhone issue. Maybe that'll get sorted in the future, but for now you have to use the head cam with either an Android or anything else that will record video from a USB-C source. And there's also a little dial at the back for adjusting the head cam on your head. And so I'll throw it on. And then I'm just gonna, there's some Velcro on the head cam, and I'm just gonna put my head sensor on that Velcro. There we go. And we will do a new calibration. Okay, everything looks good. So now at this part, you know, the workflow that we're going to be doing in Unreal Engine is an offline workflow. That means it works with recorded clips. Unreal is currently working on their Android app, I can only assume. And so soon this will all be able to be done in real time using Android's app itself. And that will feed directly into Unreal Engine. And this will all work smoothly in real time too. So if you want to be a VTuber or you want to be live streaming your data to Unreal, that will all work. Currently though, this is an offline system. So that means that we are going to, you can see that we've got video now from our head cam plugged into our Android. We are going to record video on our Android and record our motion capture at the same time, and then we'll just sync them up in Unreal Engine. This is actually a workflow that I would prefer over the real-time solution when that happens, because it gives us more control. So for like a AAA workflow, it's better to do all your recordings offline so that you can have full processing power when we're going to be processing the facial motion capture, but also because we want to process Rokoko Studio clips in Rokoko Studio that are recorded clips, because you'll always get better performance with a recorded clip in Rokoko Studio. You know, we get great, you know, live performance as well, but for a AAA workflow, we want everything to be recorded. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do one more calibration pose. And then we're going to hit record on both my phone and in Rokoko Studio. And we're going to do a sync point. So I'm going to, let me just make my video a little bit bigger here. I'm going to basically go like this at the beginning, put my fingers together and close my mouth at the same time. And that's going to help us sync everything up in Unreal Engine. There's a couple different ways that you could do this, but that's how I choose to do it. Okay. So again, everything is looking good. I'm going to hit record. Recording on our phone. We'll just do a little sync point, neutral pose. And okay, now we are recording facial motion capture through the headcam, and we are also getting our body recorded in Rokoko Studio. And of course, the coolest thing about this is that we're wireless. So let's jump around and make good facial mocap movements at the same time to see, to kind of push the system a little. Okay, that should be a pretty good test. So I will stop my recording and then stop my recording here. And there we go. We have everything we need. I'm going to do one more recording because I have a nice moody scene set up in Unreal. And I thought we could try and get some like moody facial animation. So let's just do that as well. And this will be more subtle to get that really cinematic vibe. But it will look hopefully good and cinematic. Okay, I'm gonna, actually one thing I also didn't do is I like to have my camera aligned with my eyes a little bit more. So we'll see what we get on the last one. It should totally be fine, but I will do another recording right now. Okay, let's get moody. Okay, there we go. Some moody eye movements and things like that. That should look good. Okay, and we will stop recording. Okay, so now let's go and play back what we recorded. And on my phone over here, I am just gonna go to Discord or Slack or whatever you need. And I'm basically just gonna send over those two clips that I just made. Because we need to pull them in into our computer over from our phone. Okay, I'm gonna take off my headcam and I'm gonna take off my sensor because we're pretty much done with this. Everything looks good in this body recording, but I'm also gonna unplug my suit here just because we're about to get into Unreal Engine. Unzip. Okay. So we just got our video clips over from our phone. So let's pull those up so we can check them out and see how bad see how bad my nose hairs are here. Okay, we'll download and download. And so here we go. This is the moody motion capture we just recorded. Oh God, so moody. And this was the one where we really tried to test it out and see, I'm jumping around and you can see that the video is still really high quality, right? It's going to give us more than enough data in Unreal Engine to get really great facial motion capture out of this. Oh, tired dad eyes. Look at that. Okay, so I'm going to take these clips and I'm just going to put them into the folder that we're working in. And at this point, we can open up Unreal Engine and actually start getting into this workflow. So in the meantime, we also need to export out this motion capture that we recorded for the body and hands, right? So I'll do any cleanup that I need to right here. Again, I think this kind of recorded pretty perfectly. This one looks like it needs a little bit longer. And this is typical of this workflow, right? You just need to go through, spend 30 seconds, make sure that all your foot contacts look good, and it will give you a drastically better final result. Yeah. Looks great. So we're going to call this Meta Anim 01, and then we will go grab our Moody clip. Extremely moody. And we will rename this Meta Anim 02. Now we want to export out this motion capture, and then we are going to dive into Unreal and put it all together. So I can go to the Export tab, and I can select both of my clips here in Rokoko Studio. I'm going to select the Unreal Engine 5 export preset. I don't need the facial data. I'm going to put it at 24 FPS, and then we are going to export out this mocap for us to use in Unreal Engine. And hit export. Okay. And here we are in Unreal. And I've got this nice Robert Pattinson-esque character that I've made here. And this is, of course, a metahuman. So I've already gone through and I've prepped some of this this project ahead of time. And let's talk about what you need to do, because now we're really moving into, this is the workflow of what we just did. At this point, everything has been pretty straightforward, right? We just recorded 2D video of our facial movements while we were recording our motion capture. That's what we've done so far. We have the video clips, and we have our mocap exported. And what do we need to do in Unreal Engine? So the first thing we need to do is make sure a bunch of plugins are enabled. I've already gone ahead and done this, but we'll go in and turn on all the Metahuman plugins. Metahuman Animator, Metahuman Animator calibration processing. This is essential. This plugin is essential for us to be able to use the new 2D video facial mocap solution. The core tech, I just turn them all on. It's just good practice to turn on all your Metahuman Animator or Metahuman related plugins. The other thing that we'll turn on is the Live Link Hub. So the Live Link Hub is where Live Link recordings are being handled now. The capture manager, which is going to allow us to access our pre-recorded video, is also in here. So turn on the Live Link Hub. You'll be asked to do a restart after you turn on all of these different plugins, but I've already done all that, right? And I've also gone ahead and downloaded a Metahuman that I have made. So I've got all the ingredients. At this point, let's go import our motion capture, and then we will process our facial animation videos. So I'll just create a new folder called mocap. Then I'll go to add, import to current folder, select FBX animation, go and find our motion capture. So Meta Anim 01 and Meta Anim 02, right? We exported those two clips out. So here they are. And we have a workflow for this entire process on our YouTube channel. So you'll have access to this video as well. But if you have more questions, feel free to go to our YouTube, and we cover this entire process on there. I'm going to hit import animations, leave the skeleton blank, and hit import all. So I can batch import Rokoko Studio animations into Unreal. It's really easy. And you can see I can open up the animation. That's me putting away my phone there. And you know what I just realized? I think on our second animation, did I fail to do? I did. I failed to do a sync point. So we'll see the folly that will result from that. But we'll still be able to use it actually, just because of what we did with that. But look at our animation. Looks great. So we can now retarget this to our metahuman. But first, let's actually process our facial animation. So I've got this folder, Metahuman Anim. The first thing I'm going to do in order to process their facial motion capture is go up to Window and type in Live Link. No, sorry, excuse me. Go to Tools and type in Live Link because we want to open the Live Link hub. So the Live Link hub is a sub program within Unreal Engine. It actually requires more GPU draw. The old Live Link panel still exists. So if you need to use Live Link and Live Link hub is giving you lag, try to use the old Live Link isn't going anywhere for the reason that this Live Link hub can be a GPU draw. It doesn't affect this workflow, but that's just something to know about Live Link hub. So here I am in Live Link hub. Instead of live data, I'm going to go to Capture Manager. Then I'll add device, mono video ingest. So mono video is just 2D video. It's video with a single mono source, right? So any camera, essentially. That's different from an iPhone, which has two cameras actually pointed at you. That's the true depth sensor in the iPhone are two cameras. So it's depth footage. This is just mono, single camera footage. So I'll select mono video ingest, take directory. This is just going to be where we saved our videos to. I saved them to this folder. And you can see these two are the videos that we just made. So I'll select both of them. This was a test video I made earlier. Add to queue. And then we will hit start. So this is just, it may seem complicated in that there's a bunch of different windows and drop downs that we're touching, but this is the same process every time. And it's actually very simple and easy to do. And frankly, remember, with the old way of doing this processing, it was a lot more steps and more places to go. You could get tripped up. This is a lot easier. So that's all processed already, which is incredible because it allows us to then go to right click in our content browser, go to Metahuman, and jump right into a Metahuman performance. So we'll call this Meta Anim Perf for performance 01. And we'll open up this tab. And now we're going to go, instead of depth footage, we want to go monocular footage. And then we have our options, which have already been imported. So I'm going to select this first one. We can play through it. I don't think that you can hear, but the video that's recorded from the headcam has audio. So there is syncing audio for what you were saying available, which can be really useful. And it actually comes through here in the timeline as well. Again, I don't think you're able to hear this, which is actually might be better. But here is the video. No nose hairs. Ha ha ha. I was prepared. Okay. Now we've got our video. I want under visualization mesh to have a face. So this is why I went ahead and already imported a Metahuman before I started this process, because I like to preview my animation on the Metahuman that I'm going to be using. So a couple more things before we hit process. Head movement mode. So if you're just recording from a webcam that's sitting right there, you might want to record the way your head is moving around. But we had a mocap suit to record all that. So we don't want head movement. And also because we have a mounted camera right here, our head isn't moving relative to the image, right? Our head stays in the exact same part of the frame for the entire video because it's mounted. The camera's mounted to our head. So we can turn off head movement mode. We don't need it at all. Finally, under advanced, there's this enable neutral pose calibration. So when I went and I did my sync point right here, pop. But then I also just did a neutral pose, which was me just looking at the camera. And it actually looks like I wasn't quite looking straight. So I might try and find another one. But let's use this. And you can see that under enable neutral pose calibration, it asks for a frame. So 318 is a neutral frame of my face. So I'll put this in 318. Sometimes you don't need to use the neutral pose calibration. I find, but let's use it. And then we'll just hit process. And this is, look at how fast it is. Look, it is processing at, I don't know if it tells us, but this is like 2 or 3 times real time, which is compared to what it used to be. The fact that this is all done is incredible. It used to crash my computer, this processing process. But that's it. We've got all of our facial motion capture. And, you know, depending on the experience that you've had with facial mocap, maybe this doesn't look super impressive, but compared to where we've been for the past many, many years, this is incredibly impressive. The fact that this is free, the fact that this works with 2D video. So again, it's great that we're using the headcam. If you don't have access to the headcam, you can use this with your webcam. You can use this with just, you know, a phone that you jury rig up to a bicycle helmet or something. Let me make sure this just loops. It's really incredible that you get quality this level from a flat 2D video. And again, the fact that it processed so quickly is just like, it's just so impressive. And you can see that we have, you know, everything that's being done here is being keyframed and recorded and is adjustable in post. We can go in and let's say we don't like something, we want to overemphasize, make his brows be more forward or his eyes be more squinched up. Like, we can do all of that too. So part of the great thing about Metahuman Animator monocular video ingest is the fact that we can use a flat 2D video, but it all pairs with the Metahuman ecosystem, which is incredibly versatile, and you have an incredible amount of exposure to how it works and how to adjust things. So this is just all a great system, not just because of the headcam, which allows you to record the mocap, right? Not just because of the metahumans. Each of these alone wouldn't be as useful as all of them being so easy to use together is, if that makes sense. So it's just we just kind of reached this incredible point where you can get quality like this and it's just works reliably. So, okay, anyway, we have processed our clip. It looks great. I'm sure there are more things I can do. We're not going to do it for the purposes of this demonstration. I can just go now and hit export animation. Let's save it, create it, recording animation sequence. It's baking down this animation sequence to our metahuman skeleton. Little Diet Coke break. Hopefully this doesn't crash my computer, but everything has worked so far, so we're due for some misfortune of some kind. So crashing the computer would be very appropriate. Nope. Everything worked. And now it's auto-saving. Always at the best time. I will hit save just, okay, there we go. And we can go and open up this animation sequence. Looks really good, but you know what will look better? If it's on our character and we put our motion capture body and hands on the character too. So under mocap, we're going to go and grab our motion capture animation sequence. We're just going to do the basic retargeting workflow now, which is easy. We just right click on our animation sequence, select our target skeletal mesh, which is the, male tall normal, which is the metahuman skeleton we're using. Export the animations, export. Let's go and open up a level sequence. And at this point, I've already imported my metahuman that I have in my viewport into my sequence here. Under body, I'm just gonna go to animation and go hunt down Meta-Anim 01. There we go. We have our body mocap. It's missing its beautiful face mocap. So we will go to face. Oh, and I've been blocking this. Sorry, let me move myself up here. So we have in sequencer, we have body. And then this is where I loaded in the animation for our body. And under face, under animation, Meta-Anim 01, performance. Now you can see that Meta-Anim 01 performance is bigger, is longer than our body motion capture take. That's why the sync point is so important. So now we want to go, and you can see where our fingers pinch together. We want to move our sync point so that our lips come together. Boom. And there we go. So we have some skinning problems here on this outfit. Very unfortunate. Look at this. Looks great. Here, I'll change the light so we can see a little bit more of what's happening here. Doesn't look as cool though. So this is really though where this whole system shines. That was very easy to do. And now we have this, what I think is very good looking facial motion capture on our Metahuman. And that's the whole workflow, right? Everything worked. But the point to call out is this part right here where I am jumping around and we are still getting all this great facial mocap. In fact, let's go and make this even easier to see. We will go to perspective, create camera, cine camera actor, Control-Shift-P to pilot it. Go put it up to our character's face. Give him a really weird fisheye so we can get that funny fisheye effect. Just because. Make sure that our focus is in the right point. And now we are going to go and just parent our camera. Okay, so we actually need to add our camera and then attach it to Robert Pattinson, to the body, to the head. And then we need to destroy the translation and whoa, move it into this position. Very bizarre. There we go. But now we are attached. And we can really see how the facial motion capture is performing when we're moving around. So that is that's it right there, right? I can be jumping around. I can be totally wireless. The light conditions are changing on my face as I'm moving around. And we're still getting, just a perfect track for the facial motion capture. And part of that is because the headcam is just so light, right? The headcam is an incredibly light unit. And we used to think that iPhones were very light. So you could keep an iPhone in front of your face, mount an iPhone. That's still great. And it's still very light relative to the solutions that we had 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It's still amazing. The thing that's so great about the headcam, though, is that it is, a large degree lighter than an iPhone is hanging out. It's incredibly light. And that means that you get very natural head movement and you aren't bogged down and you don't get neck fatigue and you just, you're able to get very dynamic mocap. And look at that. This looks so good. This looks, also this is a very good Metahuman in my opinion in terms of a digital double. This looks a lot like Robert Pattinson. This clipping is very unfortunate. Look at this. It just looks great. I'm sorry, I just have to I got quiet because it's so good. Just turn on our rec light a little bit brighter. There we go. We got Batman. Okay. So, I just want to do one more thing. We're gonna do the other sequence that we had to try and see if we can get, how much emotion we can kind of get out of this. So let's go back and we will go and do this one more time under Metahuman Anim. Let's create a new Metahuman performance. See how fast we can do this when I'm not talking through the whole process. Meta Anim, change it to monocular footage, change it to the dramatic take that we had. Go look for the head mesh. Disable the transform track. I'm not even going to do the neutral pros calibration, just process this. Fast, 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 fast. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Dramatic. Oh, it looks so good. And then I'm smiling about how dramatic I was. Export the animation. Call this Meta Perf 02. Recording the sequence, right? This is where we almost crashed last time. So after this, we will do our last raffle, and then we will take some Q&A questions, and we'll kind of play around a little bit as well. And we're going to launch another poll in the background. But if we get questions about other things in Unreal, we can take a look at them. Okay, we need to go and we just need to retarget our other motion capture. So also very easy. Right click, retarget animations, male, tall, normal body, retarget animations, put it in our mocap folder, export, go back to our sequencer, delete our body and facial motion capture and add in the new mocap, boop, and the new facial mocap. And this, remember, I did not sync up my clips. You'll see why it's so important to sync up your clips, because otherwise I have no frame of reference. And I think I can kind of eyeball. So I bet this is more like this. Yeah, I think it was like this. But okay, I mean, look at, so the thing that the reason I wanted to do this is because I think, again, you know, when we're talking about motion capture, we have a tendency to talk about the big things. And that's cool, you know, big movements, using a sword, doing things like that. But so much in CG is actually about the subtle, and you can get some really subtle little performances out of this system. And let's go and so this is, you know, that camera that we had set up. But if we go and check out another camera, for instance, that is like a little bit more cinematic, we can get some of that kind of subtlety that I was talking about. You know, this sort of just, it's incredible that we can get stuff like this out of just commercially available things now. I mean, come on, look at this. It's so cool looking. Oh, it just gets me going. You know, you could easily see, I think, how you could create AAA level animation from this. Let's open up the aperture a little bit on this so that we can get a little bit more detail. A little bit less of an intense blur. Just really legit, high quality results. Yeah, there you go. Like that's the shot right there, right? Let's move this a little bit more. Make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit heavier shadow. There you go. That's your insert shot that that you might need for like whatever AAA game that you might need. Not to mention, that it handles talking and everything so well. Additionally, it's really just a really fantastic workflow, and the results that you can get out of it. I just continue to be so impressed with everything about it. Look at this. I can see lots of emojis. People are feeling the same way about it that I am. It's very cool that this stuff is all commercially available for pretty much everyone. And look at like this again. I'm always looking for natural kind of emotions. And this part right here when I am ending the recording, but that like looks like actual smiling, it looks real. That's how a human actually smiles. It's a little offset, like that right there is very human. So you can just get an incredibly realistic, I think, result. Okay, so let's do another raffle, and I think we're kind of starting to wrap things up, but hopefully this has been enjoyable. I haven't been able to see the chat at all, but let's do our last raffle, and then we will do a little Q&A. But thank you, everyone, for staying. Again, before we do our last raffle, I will just say, if you were impressed by this, we got 20% off the Headcam right now. Headcam 20 at Rokoko.com. We will send more details in the email and everything as well moving forward. And then also, if you're curious, book a demo. We have an incredible team. They're very knowledgeable. Everyone's workflow and everyone's situation is different, no matter what field you work in: cinematics, animation, game dev. Book a demo, talk to someone, walk through what you might need, what system might work best for you. I highly recommend it. Raffle time. Okay, who got it? Lucky number 2, second Headcam. So brand new Headcam that we used in this webinar coming your way. And the person is Pierre-Luc Lachance. Pierre-Luc. Congratulations to you, Pierre. We will be following up over email to get your Headcam, but clapping, yes. And we do these webinars. We try and do them at least every 2 months. We always give away some stuff. We always have a discount. Hopefully people always learn something. So if you are thinking about diving in, join the webinars, and you might get a little raffle. You might get a little discount on something you didn't know about. We'll do another one on Studio Preview coming up pretty soon. Okay, so let's take a look. I'll play this in the background so it just keeps playing and looking cool. Get my in and out points here. So it just loops in the background, turn looping on. Oh, so cool. Okay. What do we have on some Q&A questions? Q&A. So it looks like, oh my gosh, 111 have been answered. Amazing. So from Peng Liang, sorry from butchering people's. Oh, I'm not on the right screen. I was busy trying to make this look cool. I'll make myself a little bit smaller here. Okay. From Peng, will there be a Rokoko plugin for Unreal 5.6 Metahuman? Yes, it is coming. We are working on it. It will be hitting soon. And we'll have a workflow tutorial out for that very shortly. You can actually use the headcam right now in real time with Unreal Engine with Metahuman Animator. You just need to be plugged in physically to the computer because they don't have an Android app yet. They are working on an Android app. Again, I can only assume. Those are the rumblings I've heard. So hopefully there will be an Android app and then everything will be in live. But yes, the Rokoko plugin is also coming for 5.6, which we're in 5.5 still for the Rokoko plugin. Yes, from Mayank. Can you share the exact export settings when I export a clip? Let's open it up. So the export settings that I use for Unreal Engine are, if you go to export options, we have these presets. I use the Unreal Engine 5 Newton preset. So not the Manny, I use Newton. I then will turn off facial data if I don't have facial data in my recording. I'll leave the rest of these all as they are because that's the preset. It's ready to go. I will just change the FPS to 24 because I like to work in 24. Excuse me, and I'll change my export, location. But that's it. If I'm doing anything else nowadays, for no matter what I'm working in, I pretty much will use default. Default would also work for Unreal Engine. We have an Unreal Engine 5 Newton preset, so I use that. Anything else, Blender, whatever, I use default, and I change the FPS only. And that's what I use now. So we also have Mixamo, Human IK, iClone, Manny. I just use default. I find that's the best. From Eric M. I saw the question about tumbling, and I'm curious to ask a similar question about how well does Rokoko handle sports or fast movements such as hockey skating? Would there be a maximum distance for the suit's location relative to the computer? Yes. So all great questions. There are examples. So you can use the suit for stunts and stuff. It's possible that sensors can be injured, but we will ship you replacement sensors if that happens. And when we ship you the suit, we ship you with a bunch of replacement cables as well. So if a sensor or cable is injured, you can replace it yourself. All the sensors are exposed. Again, you have access to all of them. I've done it, used it for stunts. I've seen people in circuses use them before. So yeah, it can handle all of that. I lost your question. I forget what the rest of your question was. But yes, it can handle stunts is the thing. If you want to find examples, check our Instagram, and there should be examples. I think there's some circus flipping people and stuff like that exists on our Instagram or YouTube. Locher Films had a behind the scenes where he was showing like taking bullets and diving and stuff like that. So yes. For the hand sensors from Aline, how well do the gloves work for people with small hands? Can you transition the sensors to smaller gloves? We don't have different sized. You can't take the sensors out of the gloves. We have different sized gloves. I have very small hands. You can't tell, but I have very stubby, small, I don't want to say childlike, but very small hands. My hands are the hands of a 5'2" woman, which is generally small hands. I'm 5'6". I just have small hands. I use a medium smart glove, I believe. So small goes even further down. You should be fine. Smart gloves, they don't actually, when you put them on, they're fingerless. So which allows for more, it's easier to handle props and like phones and stuff. But the sensors, they sit on the second knuckle, not on the fingertip. So it's actually okay if they aren't. Generally, small hands is not an issue. We also have a 30-day money back guarantee, though. If you do have very small hands and the gloves don't work for you, you can just send them back and we will refund you. From Carl, so the iPhone workflow is that an iPhone is placed on the head rig and captures both depth information and video. The Android workflow is that the headcam plugs into the Android and the headcam records video input to the Android. Yes. So basically both systems, iPhone or Android plus Headcam, work the same way, kind of. They both are just recording video. So with the iPhone workflow, you're using the head rig, which is just a rig. It's just a mount. The iPhone goes in that. The iPhone records using its true depth sensor, records a video or a true depth file, which you then have to send over to the computer. So the same thing happens with the Android version. You're recording video, but you're recording from the unit into the Android as opposed to on the Android. But then you have to send the video over to the computer somehow. So it's the same thing. For live streaming, yeah, you just use the either the Rokoko app or the Unreal app, and it sends the data over. So hopefully that answers your question. The big difference between them is that the native solution for an iPhone that works, we have a Rokoko Studio facial motion capture that works off of an iPhone and is very, very good. We have a solution for the head cam as well, but it doesn't do as well as the iPhone version. The head cam is really good at Metahuman Animator specifically, or FaceGood or FaceWare, but really for Metahuman Animator and Unreal. And now Unreal has ways of taking the head cam footage and translating it into the Apple ARKit blend shapes if you need to. So book a demo if you have questions about this, but the head cam is really good for metahumans and this new kind of future of facial motion capture, I would say. Can 2 or more actors in suits be recorded together at the same time? Yes. Up to 5 suits are supported in one scene. I recommend no more than 2 though, because everything's working off of a Wi-Fi system. Oh, the question before, it was a question about distance from the computer for the suit efficacy. The suit runs off of Wi-Fi. So if your Wi-Fi signal is strong, you can be as far away from the computer as you need to be. But Wi-Fi range is limited. So it's limited by the range of the Wi-Fi that you're on. That's why I recommend a dedicated Wi-Fi router that will increase your range. Okay, cruising through these. Ian, let me know if there's anything that I'm missing here. But we'll do a few more of these, and I think we'll kind of wrap it up. From Daryl, when I import Rokoko mocap to Unreal from Metahumans, I find the shoulders are always shifted inwards. Yes. Okay, let's go through that right now. Basically, on retarget, Daryl is having issues with some stuff being retargeted poorly. So again, we have this animation we recorded, right? So I'm going to go through the process of retargeting this to my Metahuman. Again, I brought in my mocap from Rokoko Studio, right click, retarget animations. Now I'll go and select my Metahuman, which is a male, tall, normal body. Double click, but instead of hitting export animations, I'm going to hit export retarget assets. I'm going to dump those into the mocap folder. Close this, and that generated an IK rig for my mocap, an IK rig for my Metahuman, and an IK retargeter. If I open up the IK retargeter, we get all these options for doing our retarget. So if I wanted to shift the shoulders forward a little bit, I would go to, instead of running retarget, if you hit this button, it goes to edit. And if I want to affect the shoulders specifically, I could just, whoa. Move them forward, right? Okay. Yeah, so I just move them forward. Clavicle. Then we would go find the other clavicle. And I could do adjustments like that here. Sometimes I raise the arms up a little bit more to keep them from intersecting with the body. But there's a bunch of different things that you can do here. So that would be the first thing that we could do. Maybe this looks a little bit better, but also they've added in 5.6 this new op stack, so I can run a retargeter, and I can click these, and I can change how these are working, and I can change the order that these are happening in. Like I can put the IK before the FK. You can see it'll change things each time. But yeah, that's how you get access to this sort of thing. And it depends on what you're doing. You can also see that like we have some funky stuff happening with the thumbs. Like maybe we'd want to do that change in here. So we would want to go the hierarchy, find the thumbs. Maybe make it more like this. I'm not exactly sure if this will make things better or worse. Let's see on this hand. Some trial and error. Yeah, so I just need to keep playing with it. But yes, this is where you can do changes like that. And then you would just go and export the selected animation from here. And that would have any of the changes that you made. Looks cool. Okay, we'll do a couple more and then we'll call it. Skinning issues with the Metahuman. So this is a specific thing. This is actually not an issue with the Metahuman. This is because I'm using a third-party outfit from off of Fab. The skinning issues would just have to be, that's a whole other deal. I don't know. We'd have to go in and what's the deal? Why am I getting the skinning issues? Could I remove the body? I would have to, there's a version of the male body where it doesn't have like the body itself. I would have to try and use that. But yeah, this is a more of a metahuman question. Ignore the skinning issue. It's not an issue with the mocap. It's an issue with me using a mesh that doesn't quite fit this metahuman. That's why you're getting this skin issue. Ooh, it looks good though. From Max, off-topic question: how do you get the medium tall body into Unreal 5.6? Did you migrate it? It seems like 5.6 doesn't have the same. Yes, it does. It does have the old preview templates. You have to download them somewhere. But sorry, Max, I don't have more info. But you have the previous ones in there still, both in Creator and for the old ones. But they are still there. Okay, and that's it. Those are the open questions, man. 142 answered. Thank you to the Rokoko team on the back end. We got Lucas and Gustav and Ian and Yaki. We are going to wrap it up there. But thank you, everyone, for joining us for this webinar. Again, Headcam 20, if you want to go and grab a headcam for yourself, we will be doing another webinar for Rokoko Studio Preview very shortly. Which is amazing. We have these filters that now do smoothing and stuff. Just so awesome and next level. We'll do some loops, and then we'll have discounts and we'll do raffles for that as well. So stay tuned for that. And we will be sending you guys this video and more information about the discount and all that stuff in your emails. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your week. Thank you for stopping by. And that's it. From the Rokokians to all you, be well and have a good weekend. Okay, see you everyone. Bye bye.